Victoria Montgomery's heels clicked rhythmically across the marble floor of her penthouse as she paced. Phone pressed to her ear. Her free hand gestured emphatically, though no one could see her. Tell them the Montgomery Group won't accept anything less than controlling interest. I didn't build this company from the ground up to be sidelined in my own acquisition. She paused, listening. Good. Have the papers on my desk by morning. As she ended the call, Victoria caught sight of Nathan. Reed watching her from the doorway, his gentle brown eyes carrying that familiar mix of admiration and concern. He wore simple jeans and a button-down shirt, modest compared to her tailored Chanel suit, but he carried himself with quiet dignity. Another late dinner? He asked, holding up a takeout bag from their favorite bistro. Victoria's expression softened as she slipped off her blazer. You're too good to me, Nate. Someone has to make sure you eat. His smile was genuine, but tired. They settled at her glass dining table overlooking the city lights. Victoria picked at her food, mind already racing. Through tomorrow's meetings, the Singapore deal is almost finalized, she said, breaking the silence. But I'll need to fly out next week, probably for 10 days, maybe 2 weeks. Nathan set down his fork. 2 weeks? Victoria, that's the third extended trip this quarter. And you promised we'd go to my sister's wedding, ... I know. ... This deal is crucial. They're all crucial. Nathan's voice remained gentle, but his disappointment was palpable. I understand your work is important, but sometimes I wonder where I fit in. Victoria reached for his hand. You know how much? You mean to me? Do I? Because lately it feels like I'm just ... here, waiting for whatever scraps of time you can spare. His words stung because they contained truth. Victoria had canceled more dates than she'd kept in the past 6 months. She'd missed meeting his parents twice. Their relationship had become a series of late-night reconnections and morning goodbyes. Nathan, I'm trying to balance everything. This company demands so much ... and I don't. Victoria felt panic rise in her chest, the unfamiliar sensation of losing control. Maybe we need... I'll pause. Just some space to breathe while I navigate. This acquisition, not an ending, just ... a moment to reset. Nathan's expression changed subtly, a flicker of hurt quickly masked. A pause, he repeated, the word hollow. Just temporary, Victoria insisted, misreading his quietness for understanding. Once this deal closes, things will calm down. We'll have time for us again. Nathan nodded slowly, his eyes no longer meeting hers. I see, Victoria already mentally returning to work matters. Missed the finality in his tone, the way his shoulders squared with decision. She kissed his cheek before disappearing into her home office, completely unaware that her request for breathing room had just torn all the oxygen from their relationship. Nathan stood motionless in Victoria's kitchen long after she disappeared, into her office. The remnants of their dinner sat forgotten, growing cold like the realization settling in his chest. A pause. The word echoed painfully. He'd heard it before from friends whose relationships ended with similar euphemisms. Taking a break rarely meant anything but a kinder way to begin a goodbye. As he drove home to his modest apartment across town, Nathan replayed 3 years of their relationship. He'd met Victoria when her car broke down outside the community college, where he taught music. He'd helped her call a tow truck, made her laugh during the wait. Their worlds couldn't have been more different. She was already making headlines as a rising business mogul while he taught piano to children and composed music that few would ever hear. Yet somehow, they'd connected. Victoria had once told him his genuine nature was like oxygen in her world of strategic smiles and calculated conversations. But lately, that connection had frayed. Nathan no longer felt like oxygen, more like an ornamental plant, nice to have. Around when noticed, but not essential to her life. A pause, he muttered, entering his apartment and flipping on the lights. The space felt particularly small tonight, the second-hand furniture a stark contrast to Victoria's designer penthouse. Had she finally realized the disparity between them was too great? His phone buzzed with a text from Victoria, early meeting. Tomorrow, rain check on breakfast. Love you, X. Another cancellation. Another reminder of his place in her priorities. By morning, Nathan had made his decision. He wouldn't wait around to be gradually phased out of her life. If Victoria wanted space, he would give her infinity. He packed his essentials clothes, his grandfather's watch, sheet music, and the small savings he'd managed to accumulate. He called the school, requesting emergency personal leave. Then he wrote a simple note. Victoria, you asked for a pause, giving you the freedom you need. Take care of yourself. Nathan, he left his key on the counter beside it. No dramatic gesture. No angry words, just a quiet exit from a relationship where he'd always felt slightly temporary. As Nathan loaded his car, his former college roommate Bradley called. Still need someone to run your music program in Portland? Nathan asked without preamble. Always, man. The offer's open. I'll be there tomorrow. Wait, what? Just like that? What about Victoria? Nathan watched the morning sun reflect off the skyscrapers of downtown, somewhere in one of those gleaming towers. Victoria was building her empire. She wanted space to focus on her world, he said quietly. And I need to find mine. 3 hours. Later, Nathan crossed the state line, heading northwest with no intention of returning. No calls, no social media updates, no forwarding address. Victoria Montgomery had dismissed him with a pause. Nathan Reed had turned it into their final goodbye. 3 years passed. Victoria Montgomery's name became synonymous with business excellence, her company expanding across continents. Montgomery Group Tower now dominated the city. Skyline 68 stories of architectural brilliance, with her office crowning the top floor. The projections for the fourth quarter exceed all expectations, Ms. Montgomery said Elliot Pearson, her chief financial officer, as the executive meeting concluded. The board is unanimously pleased. Victoria nodded, accepting the praise with practiced grace. At 34, she had achieved more than most accomplished in a lifetime. Her net worth had tripled since the Singapore acquisition, the very deal that had precipitated Nathan's disappearance. Thank you, everyone. We'll reconvene next week, she said, dismissing her team. Alone in her office, Victoria's professional mask slipped. She moved to the floor-to-ceiling windows, watching the city below. Success surrounded her, yet emptiness accompanied every triumph. The morning after their last dinner, she'd found Nathan's note. At first, she'd been shocked, then angry. How could he misinterpret her so completely? She'd called repeatedly, but his number had been disconnected. His apartment emptied. Even his sister merely confirmed he'd left town but refused to share details. "I was tired of feeling temporary in your permanent world," his sister had said coldly, before hanging up. Victoria's assistant, Priya, entered with afternoon appointments. "Your 4 o'clock canceled, but the Bennett Foundation called. They're honoring you at their annual gala, next month Entrepreneur of the Year." "Another crystal trophy for the collection," Victoria murmured. "Also, your mother called again about Thanksgiving," Victoria sighed. Family holidays had become increasingly difficult. Endless questions about her personal life. Sympathetic glances when she arrived alone year after year. "Tell her I'll be there," Victoria replied. Perhaps this year she wouldn't work through. The entire weekend. Later that evening, Victoria walked through her expanded penthouse, professionally decorated in minimalist luxury, yet lacking warmth. She'd renovated after Nathan left, erasing spaces that held memories of him. Still, certain moments ambushed her. The sight of the bistro they'd frequented, piano music drifting from somewhere, or finding his forgotten bookmark in a novel she hadn't touched in years. Victoria poured herself a glass of wine and settled on her balcony. The night air carried the distant sounds of the city horns honking, music from restaurants, fragments of laughter. "You'd barely recognize me now, Nate," she whispered to the night. "The company's global. I have everything I worked for. Everything except someone to share it with. Someone who reminded her to eat dinner. Someone whose eyes held admiration rather than calculation." Her phone chimed with an email, the Bennett Foundation Gala details. Victoria scanned the message, until a name in the program caught her eye, causing her breath to falter. Nathan Reed, founder and CEO, Resonance Education Initiative. The wineglass nearly slipped from her fingers. After years of absence, Nathan had not only reappeared, but apparently built something significant enough to be recognized alongside her at one of the city's most prestigious events. Victoria set down her glass with trembling hands. In exactly 26 days, she would face the man who had walked away, the only person who had seen beyond the empire, to the woman who built it. The Bennett Foundation Gala transformed the city's historical museum into a wonderland of elegance. Crystal chandeliers reflected against marble floors, while string musicians played softly from the mezzanine. Victoria arrived fashionably late, her assistant Priya beside her whispering last-minute details about potential donors. "The Morrison family is considering a significant contribution to your educational initiative," Priya noted. "They're at table 7. Victoria nodded, but her attention scattered across the room, seeking one face among hundreds. Her heart hammered beneath her custom Valentino. Ghana sensation foreign to a woman who routinely negotiated billion-dollar deals without breaking a sweat. "Miss Montgomery." Bennett himself approached, champagne in hand. "Our woman of the hour. The work your foundation has done for women entrepreneurs is remarkable." Victoria smiled automatically. "Thank you, James. Your support has been invaluable. Have you met our other honorees? Dr. Winters from the medical research sector is just there, and Nathan Reed," Victoria finished softly. "His education initiative?" "Yes, I've read about it." Bennett's eyebrows rose slightly. "Fascinating fellow. Started with just one alternative music program for underprivileged children, now has centers in 27 cities. Turned down corporate funding to remain independent. The press loves him almost as much as they love you." Victoria's gaze finally found him across the room, speaking animatedly with a small group, gesturing with enthusiasm. Nathan looked different, his formerly casual style replaced with a tailored suit, his posture more confident, yet his smile remained the same, lighting his entire face when he laughed. "If you'll excuse me," Victoria murmured to Bennett, moving instinctively toward Nathan 3 steps in his direction. She froze. What would she say after 3 years of silence? What right did she have to interrupt his new life? Before she could retreat, Nathan turned. Their eyes met across the crowded room, and time compressed between them. His smile faded, replaced by an unreadable expression. A young woman at his side touched his arm questioningly. Victoria felt a stab of something primal and unwelcome. Then, Nathan was walking toward her, navigating between guests with determined steps. Victoria forgot how to breathe. "Victoria." His voice had the same warm timbre she remembered, though his tone carried new formality. "Nathan, congratulations on your award. Your initiative sounds impressive, thank you. Your global expansion has been formidable." Awkward silence stretched between them, 3 years of unspoken words creating an almost physical barrier. "Oh, have you been?" Victoria finally asked, wincing at the banality. "Building something meaningful?" Nathan replied simply. "You? The same, I suppose?" His eyes studied her face, seeing past her perfect makeup to the sleepless nights beneath. "Are you happy, Victoria?" The directness of his question, so characteristic of the Nathan she'd known, momentarily stripped away her practiced poise. "Successful," she answered carefully. "Not what I asked." Before Victoria could respond, dinner was announced. Nathan nodded politely and turned away, joining his group at a table across the ballroom. Throughout the evening, Victoria accepted her award with eloquence, applauded politely when Nathan received his, and maintained perfect composure while crumbling inside. She watched him interact with others, noted how he listened intently to each person, how his former students approached him with obvious admiration. As the event concluded, Victoria made a decision. She approached Nathan as he waited for the valet. "Could we talk? Properly, I mean? Perhaps coffee tomorrow?" Nathan hesitated, his expression guarded. "I'm not sure that's a good idea." "Please," Victoria said, the word unfamiliar on her lips. "Just half an hour." After a long moment, Nathan nodded. "Cafe on Westlake, 9 tomorrow."
Oh.
As he stepped into his car, modest despite his success, Victoria realized she'd been granted something rare. A second chance to explain what she'd really meant by pause all those years ago. Victoria arrived at the cafe 20 minutes early, selecting a quiet corner table away from windows. She'd dressed casually, jeans and a simple blouse, a deliberate departure from her executive armor. For once, she wanted Nathan to see just Victoria, not the Montgomery Empire personified. At precisely 9, Nathan entered. He spotted her immediately, his expression carefully neutral as he approached. "You look well," he said, settling across from her. "So do you." Victoria studied him openly. Success had added confidence to his bearing, but hadn't hardened him. "I read about resonance before coming. What you've built is extraordinary. It started as one music program in Portland," Nathan explained, relaxing slightly, then expanded. "When I saw how many children needed access to arts education, now we're in schools across the country, and you turned down corporate funding?" Nathan smiled faintly. "I wanted to build something that couldn't be compromised by shareholder interests. Ironic, given our history." The barb landed softly, but Victoria felt it sting. "That's actually why I wanted to talk." She took a breath, organizing thoughts she'd rehearsed countless times since seeing his name on the gala program, and I asked, "For a pause, I never meant goodbye. I meant exactly what I said, a temporary breathing space while I navigated a difficult business period. I wanted to be fair to you, not string you along during weeks when I couldn't be present." Nathan's expression remained unchanged. "You canceled plans consistently for months. Your business always came first." "Yes," Victoria acknowledged. "I was wrong about my priorities, but you disappeared completely, Nathan. No chance to explain, no forwarding address. You just vanished." "Because I heard what I expected to hear," Nathan admitted quietly. The successful businesswoman finally realizing her musician boyfriend didn't fit in her world. A pause seemed like a gentle way to begin the separation. Victoria shook her head. "That's not who I was. Yes, I was ambitious and often selfish with my time. But I loved you, Nathan. I loved how you saw me as a person, not a corporate entity." "Past tense?" Nathan asked, meeting her eyes directly. Victoria faltered. "I don't know what tense applies after 3 years of silence." A small smile touched Nathan's lips. "That's fair. What happened to us was a miscommunication that became permanent because neither of us fought to clarify it." Victoria continued, "I've regretted that every day." And Nathan was quiet for a moment, turning his coffee cup slowly. "I've built a good life, Victoria. Important work that matters to me." "I know." "I'm not asking to disrupt that." Victoria gathered her courage. "But I wonder if we could start again slowly. As friends first, perhaps. I'd like to know the man you've become." "Friends," Nathan repeated thoughtfully. "That would be new territory." "For us?" Victoria smiled genuinely for the first time. "I think we've both proven we can navigate new territory successfully." Nathan considered her words, the wariness in his eyes softening slightly. "Coffee next week, then? Same time?" It wasn't forgiveness or reconciliation, not yet. But it was an opening, a small crack in the wall their misunderstanding had built. "I'll be here," Victoria promised. "And Nathan, no matter what happens between us, I want you to know I'm proud of what you've created." As they parted outside the cafe, Victoria watched Nathan walk away, not with the finality of their last goodbye, but with the potential of a new beginning. She had asked for a pause years ago, never intending an ending. Perhaps now, they were finally strong enough as individuals to understand what they might become together. Some pauses, Victoria reflected, lasted much longer than intended. But perhaps the most important conversations were worth the wait.